Haunting warning. Don't sign this. A cleaner's dark secret that shook a billionaire. In the heart of the glimmering city, where skyscrapers reached for the stars, an unsuspecting employee stumbled into a truth far darker than any boardroom secret. It was a simple day at Pinnacle Ventures, a billion-dollar empire. The air thrummed with ambition, but beneath the surface lay a chilling mystery waiting to unfold. You see, while the wealthy sipped their artisanal lattes, someone was about to uncover what would become the most scandalous affair of the century. It started with a whisper. A nameless cleaner overheard something. Something awful. The cleaner, a quiet woman named Eliza, had her eyes closed when she first learned of it. During the dead silence after the lights turned off, she was cleaning in a room meant for important negotiations. That's when she heard them. The hushed voices leaked through thin walls, words that sent cold shivers down her spine. There's no going back. Once it's signed, it's over. Not one but two important executives were discussing something sinister, bordered by fear and desperation. With her heart racing, Eliza held her breath, feeling as if the walls themselves were closing in. She didn't see just empty trash bins. She was now a keeper of secrets. That word signed echoed in her mind. What could possibly be so critical that it was worth risking everything? As she cleared the trash, her trembling hands almost dropped the plastic bag. The weight of the secret grew heavier with every passing moment, tightening her chest like a vice. Days went by, and Eliza felt the tension creeping into her bones. She kept replaying that fateful night, every detail sharper than a knife. The glint of metal, the smell of polished wood, and the way those executives' faces twisted in unease. Each time she saw them bustling through the office, she could sense their fear of exposure, their shame hidden beneath tailored suits. Was it something illegal? Or some grand conspiracy? The questions danced in her mind like mad fireflies, incessant and bright. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As Eliza's life spiraled deeper into this bizarre web, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was like a shadow loomed over her, ready to pounce. And then, just when she thought she'd unravel the truth, a stranger appeared in her path, a man with sharp eyes and a dangerous smile. "You've heard things, haven't you?" he asked, the words dripping with menace. Eliza's breath caught in her throat. What had she stumbled into? What were these men hiding? And why was this stranger so interested in her? The questions flooded her mind, and as she stared into the depths of his eyes, she knew she was standing on the edge of the abyss. Would she take the plunge? Or would she pull back from the ledge, forever haunted by the truth left undiscovered? She didn't know the answer, but something told her the next choice she made could change everything. A chill ran down Eliza's spine as the stranger's piercing gaze locked onto hers. His smile was not inviting. It was predatory. The air around her thickened as she struggled to respond, the words trapped in her throat like a haunting echo. She was aware that she was treading on dangerous ground, and the path ahead twisted into shadows she wasn't ready to navigate. "Who are you?" she managed to whisper, her voice barely above a tremble. "Just someone interested in the truth," he said, leaning slightly closer, his breath brushing against her face, a mix of mint and something darker. "And you, my dear, are sitting on a goldmine of secrets." Eliza felt her pulse drum in her ears. How much did he know? Did he hear her that night? Frantically, her mind raced from one horrifying possibility to the next. She glanced around, half expecting the executives to burst from the shadows, but the hallway was silent and empty. "Look," he continued, his tone shifting to a coaxing whisper. "I don't want to hurt you. I can help you, but you need to trust me." His words ignited a flicker of hope within her, but it was quickly snuffed out by fear. Trust? In a world where lies ruled the wealthy and powerful? She fought the instinct to flee, clenching her fists to steady her shaking hands. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice steadying, a semblance of courage rising from the depths of her anxiety. He straightened up, his demeanor shifting to that of a man who had nothing but time. I want what you want, the truth. And I know you've got a lead on something big. Eliza couldn't fight back the urge to laugh bitterly. What could a lowly cleaner possibly know? But she held her tongue, knowing full well that she was now a part of something much larger than herself. You heard them, he pressed, his eyes lighting up like a wolf spotting its prey. What were they talking about? What is this thing that could destroy them? She hesitated. The words she had overheard rang in her mind, a relentless mantra. Once it's signed, it's over. They were not just business executives. They were men who operated in the darkest recesses of corporate greed, and whatever they were hiding was powerful enough to shatter lives, her own included. I don't know anything, she stammered, but the lie tasted bitter on her tongue that a flicker of disappointment passed over his face, quickly masked by a feigned grin. Think carefully, Eliza. Sometimes ignorance is as dangerous as knowledge. Either way, you'll be caught in the crossfire. The thought sent a jolt of realization through her. She had stumbled onto a battlefield she wasn't prepared to fight on. If I tell you what happens next, then you'll be safe. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. And we can expose them. Still holding her ground, Eliza shook her head. Something about the man felt wrong, like a shadow lurking behind a friendly facade. She turned to leave, her instincts screaming at her not to engage further. But he was quick, blocking her path with an outstretched arm. Don't walk away from this, Eliza. You'll regret it. Stepping back, Eliza's heart raced wildly. What do you mean? As he stepped closer, his expression darkened with intent. The unsettling weight of the moment crashed down on her. You think you're just a cleaner? You're much more important than you realize. Eliza's breath caught again, panic clawing at the edges of her mind. Suddenly, a flickering light caught her attention out of the corner of her eye. Was it a few too many glasses of wine, or a premonition of doom? What was that? She gasped. The unthinkable happened next. The lights flickered again, and she heard a distant crash and urgency echoing from the inner offices of Pinnacle Ventures. Just then, the stranger's demeanor shattered like glass. You need to leave now. They can't know you're here. Was it too late? Would the truth escape her grasp forever? As she fled down the hallway, Eliza knew one thing: she had to find the evidence and expose them herself before the darkness closed in completely. The stakes had never been higher, and the urge to reveal the truth burned brighter than ever. But would anyone believe her, or would she become another victim in this dangerous game of power? Eliza dashed around the corner, her heart pounding, but a chilling realization swept over her. Someone was always watching. The question lingered like a shadow. Who would strike first? Eliza sprinted down the corridor, her feet barely touching the ground. Each beat of her heart echoed in her ears, mingling with the newfound urgency of the crashing noise she had just heard. Panic surged as she felt the cold fingers of fear clutching at her throat. What had just unfolded behind her? She turned a corner and skidded to a halt. Glancing back, she caught a fleeting glimpse of the stranger's face, twisted into a mask of desperation. The chilling weight of his warning reverberated in her mind. They can't know you're here. What if he was right? What if they were already aware of her presence? The overhead lights flickered ominously again, shadows creeping along the walls like living things. She had a choice: hide or continue running blindly into the unknown. Huffing and puffing, she pressed herself against the cool metal of a door, heart racing like a drum. Eliza peered through a glass panel, catching sight of the busy office beyond. Executives moved about, their faces set in serious expressions as they gathered for an emergency meeting. The air was thick with tension, an electric debate sparking just below the surface. Whatever they were plotting could upend lives, including her own. What do I do? She whispered to herself, the question laced with urgency. She had to find a way to get inside, to discover what they were hiding. With resolve, she slipped into a nearby service closet. The scent of stale coffee and cleaning supplies enveloped her. She closed the door slightly, just enough to create a narrow view. As silence hovered in the air, Eliza felt the trembling energy of her surroundings. Through the glass, she saw the head of the firm's legal department, a tall man with sharp features and an icy glare. His voice rose above the others. I don't care what it takes. We cannot let this leak. The contract must be signed tonight. Eliza's stomach twisted. The word struck her like a blow. Leaks? Contracts? Were they about to bury something unspeakable? Her body tensed as she turned her ear toward the meeting, straining to catch each crucial word. If it gets out, we're done. Our entire operation will collapse. Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the hall, sharp and deliberate. Without thinking, Eliza ducked back into the shadows of the closet, her heart thudding painfully against her ribcage. The door creaked open, and a figure stepped inside one of the executives. He rummaged through the supplies, a sheen of sweat glistening on his forehead as he muttered something indistinct. Eliza held her breath, terrified that any sound would betray her. "Damn it," he said, frustration clear in his tone. "We have to end this now before she finds out. The other board members are depending on us." She? Eliza's mind raced with possibilities. Who was this woman that posed such a threat? Just as she felt the weight of the information pressing upon her, he turned and exited, the door clicking shut behind him. The decision was made for her. If they were trying to silence someone else, she couldn't hide anymore. She needed answers. Emerging from the closet, Eliza steadied herself. Her heart thundered, but an exhilarating sense of purpose ignited within her. She needed to make her move, a move that would either leave her trapped or set her free. As she left the closet, the corridor stretched dark and ominous before her. Each shadow seemed to whisper truths she dared not imagine. Suddenly, a rustle behind her made her freeze. Had she been followed, she couldn't look back. The gravity of the situation pulled her forward. The door to the meeting was slightly ajar, and inside her voice screamed the question: was now the moment to unleash the truth, or would it silence her forever? Before she could make a decision, a chilling realization washed over her. Time was running out. She had to act fast, but the deeper she dug, the closer danger lurked. What awaited her beyond that door? Answers, or the end? Eliza took a deep breath, her pulse racing as she stepped toward the door. Shadows blended and swirled in the poorly lit corridor, and every creak of her footsteps amplified her anxiety. She hesitated, but forcing herself to grip the handle, she pushed the door open just enough to slip inside. The room was dim, but she could see the table crowded with a ring of grim-faced executives. They were gathered closely, gears grinding in their heads as they strategized. The air crackled with tension, a palpable blend of desperation and urgency. The head of the legal department stood opaquely at the front, flipping through a stack of documents as he addressed the others. "This time, we can't afford mistakes," he was saying, his voice low and fierce. "All it takes is one slip-up, one hint at what we're trying to keep hidden, and the whole operation will fall apart. We do this tonight, or we risk it all." Eliza's heart dropped. What operation was he talking about? She needed clarity, she needed answers. Shoving her fear deep inside her, she crept closer to catch more of their conversation, but a woman with tightly pulled back hair interjected. "What about another alternative? We could get her out of the picture permanently." The suggestion hit Eliza like an ice-cold wave, knocking the breath from her lungs. "No." The head of legal snapped back, pure panic coloring his tone. "We can't do that. It would only draw more attention. She knows too much already. We need to contain it, not escalate." Every word felt like a blade slicing deeper into Eliza's reality. Who was this woman they feared? It had to be the same woman the frantic executive had mentioned. She must have been a threat, but to whom? She dared not imagine the lengths these people would go to protect their secrets. Their voices began to merge until they became an incoherent drone, but one thing sliced through the chaos with steel clarity. If we don't act tonight, it's all over. What it was, she still didn't know. Without thinking, her eyes darted around the room for something, anything that could provide an escape or a clue. She spotted a window, slightly ajar. It became the only option. The moment she climbed through, she could slip away unnoticed and find a way to uncover what they were hiding. But a noise behind her yanked her back to the present. The door swung open, and two suited men stepped in, their faces stern and their brows knitted with concern. "Eliza." The voice was grim, and suddenly, her heart froze. Had he found her? She glanced over her shoulder, panic flashing across her face. The executive from earlier, a tall man with piercing eyes, had caught sight of her in the doorway, mouth agape, expression shifting from shock to threat in a heartbeat. "Get her," he barked, and the air filled with a surged terror. Eliza sprinted for the window, adrenaline surging through her veins, but the men were faster. Their steps thundered behind her, gaining on her like hounds on a hunting trail. She flung herself against the window, grappling with the frame as panic clawed at her throat. Just as she managed to start lifting herself, a hand gripped her shoulder, yanking her back with a force that stunned her. She was trapped. "Why are you here? What do you know?" the man demanded, his voice low but tight with fury. Desperation flooded through her. She had seconds to respond and turn the tides. Eliza began, her mind racing for a believable lie. But before she could finish her thoughts, a loud crash echoed in the hall, reverberating the walls like thunder. The door slammed open, and a figure, obscured by shadows, rushed into the room. Eliza's heart hammered. This was her chance. But who was the new player? Answers, lies, and secrets swirled in the room, a maelstrom of uncertainty and danger. She realized, with a chilling certainty, that the very foundation of everything she believed could come crashing down in an instant. What lay ahead? A rescue or further entrapment? The answers hung thickly in the air, waiting to unfurl. Eliza's breath hitched as the figure emerged from the shadows, and her mind raced to make sense of the unexpected interruption. The new arrival seemed to slice through the tension like a bolt of lightning, a woman with cascading dark hair and a fierce glint in her eyes. Her confidence was palpable, the kind that made Eliza both hopeful and terrified. "Let her go," the woman commanded, her voice steady and firm. The two suited men hesitated, eyes darting between their boss and this newfound threat. A weighty silence enveloped the room as the head of legal shot a worried glance at the newcomer, his expression betraying anxiety. Eliza seized the moment, her instincts kicking in. "Who are you?" she gasped, confusion and desperation battling within her. She pressed against the window, longing for release, but remained riveted by the unfolding drama. "Just a friend," the woman replied, locking her gaze on Eliza. "But I can be more than that, if you need it." There was a flicker of something determination, maybe a hint of rebellion shining through her bold demeanor. "Enough games." The head of legal stepped forward, regaining some semblance of authority. "You don't know what you're getting into. It's not safe for you here." "Safe?" Eliza echoed, her heart racing. "Who are you protecting? What is happening?" She needed answers, but the tension in the room was thick with secrets that felt heavier than the atmosphere itself. The woman took a step closer, continuing her assault on the men's claims. "They're scared of you knowing too much, Eliza. They think they can control the narrative, but they underestimated you." She threw a glance over her shoulder at the men, an unwavering challenge in her eyes. "And they underestimate me. Enough. Get her," the executive growled, regaining momentum. Eliza's stomach twisted as shadows contorted around her. The very walls felt like they were closing in. She was trapped on all sides. "You might want to rethink that," the woman warned, her voice already raised. "I've seen what these people do to stay in power. They will destroy everything." Just as the tension reached a boiling point, the woman lunged forward, shoving Eliza out of the way. The suits were upon them, and chaos erupted. Eliza froze momentarily, her heart galloping in her chest as bodies collided and voices clamored. "Go," the woman shouted, urgency spilling from her lips. "Get out of here. I'll hold them off." Eliza's instincts kicked in, and she flung herself toward the window, scrabbling for a foothold. With a desperate thrust, she clambered onto the sill, her heart pounding like a drum in her ears. She stole a glance back. Was the woman really going to fight them? Or was this a desperate gamble? Then it hit her. If these men were willing to hurt someone over secrets, what did that say about the truths they were hiding? Whatever the stakes were, they were higher than she'd ever imagined. A sudden realization coursed through her. She had stepped into something far darker than she could have ever anticipated. Glimpses of the woman battling the executives played in her mind as a mixture of fear and determination seized Eliza. She couldn't just leave. It felt like abandoning a lifeline. Then the unmistakable sound of shattering glass pierced the chaos. An alarm blared, and lights flickered on, bathing the room in an urgent red glow. Her pulse surged. The chance to escape was narrowing, but the need to know had become more powerful. "Eliza." The call was sharp, authoritative. It was the woman, fighting back two men with harsh determination, a furious dance of power and progress. But what if she stayed? The pieces of a dark puzzle began to take shape, and a determination ignited in her chest. What if this fight was the key to dismantling everything they kept hidden? As Eliza hesitated, a piercing scream split the air, drawing her back to the chaos threatening to unravel. With everything on the line, she faced a choice that could either shatter her fragile world or lead her to the truth and freedom. The new question loomed heavily. Could she trust this woman? With her heart racing, Eliza had to decide: stay and uncover the truth, or leap into the unknown, darkened knowledge lurking behind her. The world outside felt like a distant memory as Eliza teetered on the edge of decision. The chaos behind her surged like a storm, and the screams of the men echoed off the walls. She looked back at the woman, her fierce stance, her unwavering determination. Could she risk it? Would 10 seconds of bravery lead her into the abyss or to a new beginning? Go, the woman shouted again. Now, Eliza hesitated only a moment longer. She couldn't leave her behind. With a trembling heart, she leaped back into the fray, adrenaline propelling her forward. Get her, shouted one of the suited men, lunging towards Eliza. She dodged, narrowly avoiding his grasp. The sound of a fist hitting flesh snapped her focus back. The woman fought valiantly, but there were too many. Eliza could see the strain in her movements, the desperation. Help! Eliza screamed, throwing herself into the melee. She grabbed a glass paperweight from a nearby desk and swung it at the closest man. The sound of glass hitting flesh echoed like a gunshot as he howled in pain, staggering back. Nice move. The woman grinned, even as she grappled with another attacker. Keep going. We can take them. But Eliza didn't feel brave. The weight of fear pressed down hard as she began to realize the extent of the danger. These men were not just thugs, they were merciless, and they were losing control. With every passing heartbeat, the stakes climbed higher. Another man broke free, lunging at Eliza, but she pivoted, dodging just in time. She felt her heart pound louder than the chaos surrounding her, a wild drum echoing in her chest. A sharp shove sent her sprawling to the ground, and her palms scraped against the cold floor. Get up, the woman yelled. Don't stop. Eliza scrambled back to her feet, breathing hard, her eyes wide with fear. The situation was deteriorating quickly. The alarm screamed, the lights strobing in a horrific dance of urgency. She locked eyes with the woman, who was fending off 2 men at once, a flash of resolve burning in them. The realization of their shared danger brought them closer, igniting a fire within Eliza. Maybe she could be part of this fight. Eliza charged forward. Get down, she shouted as she tackled one of the men from behind, using every ounce of strength she had. He stumbled but regained his balance, pivoting swiftly. They collided, and Eliza felt the impact send shockwaves through her. Nice, the woman spat out as she threw another man aside. Now stay with me. They fought side by side, desperation fueling their every move. Eliza swung wildly, heart racing, not sure if she aimed to defend or survive. The world was chaos, and she was drowning in it. Yet inside her, something was growing, a sense of purpose. Just then, the room was plunged into pitch darkness, the alarms now the only sound echoing through the stillness. Panic rolled over her like a tidal wave. Stay close, the woman's voice called out, but it felt swallowed, lost in the suffocating blackness. Eliza fought the urge to scream. She willed herself to listen, to focus. What is happening? Control room. Power down. They shut the lights. The woman cursed under her breath. Eliza's mind world, was this a trap? Or a chance to escape? Her gut twisted as realization struck. The secrets those men were guarding were now closing in on them, as real as the darkness surrounding. Listen to me, the woman said, her voice cutting through the panic. These men will do anything to keep this under wraps. A sudden crash sounded, and a light flickered back to life, illuminating the woman, a fierce warrior amidst shadows. Eliza squinted through the dim glow. There was something dangerous yet undeniable lighting up the woman's face. We need to find that control room. Before Eliza could respond, the darkness imploded again, and the scream from moments before echoed back, a haunting reminder of the battle they were caught in. She felt the icy fingers of uncertainty clutching at her heart. The choice now felt monumental. Could they really take on whatever lay ahead? As the chaos resumed, a looming question circled her mind. Like a buzzard, if they didn't escape now, how much deeper would they plunge into this dark world of secrets? Let us go. the woman urged, pulling Eliza into the fray once more. Eliza's heart raced, but the faint glow of hope ignited within her. Whatever was waiting around the corner, she realized, would either forge their destiny or shatter them forever. But what awaited them beyond the shadows? Would it be the truth or something even more twisted? The woman led, her movements swift and purposeful. Eliza followed, heart hammering in her chest, bracing for chaos once more. The noise surged, voices barking orders, grunts of exertion mingling with the clashing of bodies. Eliza's senses heightened, every sound, every sudden movement felt amplified in the chaotic atmosphere. "Watch your back," the woman shouted, and Eliza spun just in time to see another attacker lunging toward her beneath the flickering lights. She sidestepped, panic sparking in her gut as she barely avoided the blow. Adrenaline surged through her veins. This couldn't end here. Not now. They stumbled towards what looked like an office, a chaotic mess of overturned chairs and scattered paperwork, illuminated fleetingly by the flickering lights. The woman grabbed Eliza's arm, her grip fierce. "We have to find a way to that control room. We're running out of time." As if to prove her point, a deafening explosion echoed from somewhere beyond the walls, sending vibrations shaking through the floor. "This place is going to come down," Eliza cried, her voice barely rising above the din. "Not if we can help it." The woman's determination cut through Eliza's fear, giving her strength. They dashed through the debris, dodging suit jackets and the semi-conscious forms of men who underestimated them. Suddenly, a flash of light caught Eliza's attention. She turned sharply, her breath catching as she spotted a sliver of light peeking through a narrow corridor to the right. Was this their way out? Or perhaps a trap? She hesitated, conscience swirling with doubt. "Move." The woman pulled her toward the light. No turning back now. They burst into a long hall, one that felt cold and eerily silent compared to the chaos they just survived. The air felt thick, heavy with tension, like unseen eyes watching them. Eliza's skin prickled. This corridor felt like an ancient truth waiting to be revealed. "What is down here?" Eliza whispered, scanning the walls lined with dark, ominous doors. There was something unsettling about the way they stood perfectly aligned, as though keeping a secret too powerful to be shared. "Focus on getting to the control room. We need to shut this down," the woman said, urgency filling her voice. Eliza bit her lip, preparing to follow, but a low rumble echoed through the corridor, causing her to turn again. It sounded like a growl, deep and unsettling. "Did you hear that?" she asked, panic seeping back in. "Forget it. Run." The woman locked eyes with her, the intensity burning deeper. They pushed forward, but the air thickened. Eliza could almost feel it squeezing around them, pressing in like an impending storm. As they neared the end of the hall, another door stood ajar. Its shadowy frame whispered promises of danger and temptation. Eliza felt an inexplicable pull, curiosity clawing at her to step inside. But the woman tugged her back, her instincts sharper than Eliza's. "Keep moving," she shouted, her determination unyielding. But as they reached the door, Eliza hesitated again, staring into the darkness. That feeling bubbled up once more, a twinge of guilt mixing with a nagging sense of dread. Was there something vital hidden within? Before she could voice her thoughts, a group of men appeared, silhouetted against the sharp flash of lights behind them, as they turned into the corridor. "There they are," one shouted, and the hunt was back on. Eliza and the woman exchanged frantic glances. "Now." The woman grabbed Eliza's hand, and they sprinted toward the control room, but it was a race against time. They had to rely on instincts and a whisper of hope glimmering ahead. Then, with a sudden sweep, a door slammed shut behind them, and chaotic shouts turned into ominous murmurs. Eliza felt the walls close in, the very air thickening with danger. "Where do we go now?" Eliza breathed, fear creeping back in. The woman's eyes widened. "I'm not sure." An ominous creak echoed, followed by the sound of footsteps. The light dimmed, casting shadows that danced along the walls. Time felt suspended, fear gripping Eliza like a vice that they caught there. Breath, a shroud of anxiety, hung heavy. "We can't go back, can we?" Eliza asked, her heart racing. "No turning back. We need to uncover whatever secrets they've hidden." The woman nodded, determination flashing in her eyes. But something collided with Eliza's thoughts, a shadow from that ajar door, a truth withheld. What if it haunted them? What if the darkness held something darker still? As the footsteps echoed closer, Eliza wondered just how deep this rabbit hole went. What awaited them in the control room? Would it shatter their hopes or reveal a reality even more twisted than they imagined? Eliza felt the clamminess of the air bite at her skin. The footsteps grew louder, reverberating like thunder in the narrow corridor. They were closing in, each echo bathed in dread that crept deeper into her bones. The woman's grip tightened around her hand, and they pressed against the wall, shadows engulfing them. Look! The woman's eyes darted toward a nearby door that hadn't fully closed. A small crack of light blinked at them, flickering like a beacon of hope or a trap. We can hide in there. Eliza swallowed hard. What if it's worse? The idea of darkness beyond the door clawed at her, but the advancing footsteps dismissed choice. There was no time to ponder. They needed a sanctuary. With a swift nod, the woman propelled Eliza toward the crack. They slipped through the door, plunging into a dim room filled with old equipment and rusting machinery. The oppressive silence swallowed them whole, the pounding of their heartbeats the only sound in the thick atmosphere. They turned their backs to the door, standing wide-eyed, every sense on high alert. What now? Eliza whispered, panic clawing its way back into her chest. Stay quiet, the woman breathed, her eyes scanning the murky space. We need to listen. Minutes stretched into a taut silence, stretching thin like a thread about to snap. Occasional murmurs and footsteps faded outside, ghosts of the chaos beyond. Then Eliza caught a hushed voice drifting through the cracks in the walls. They know too much now. We can't let them reach it. Instinctively, she pressed closer to the woman, both recognizing the weight of the threat. As the murmurs faded, the tension in the room heightened. Eliza's mind flipped through scenarios. They had stumbled onto something monumental, something dangerous enough to warrant such drastic measures. What had they unearthed? Suddenly, the door jerked open, and a man stormed in, eyes wild with urgency. He was dressed in dark attire, his face tight with panic, the kind that suggested he was in on things far worse than Eliza could comprehend. Get out, he bellowed, slamming the door behind him. They're coming, and you can't stay here. The woman's expression hardened. Who are you? They're not giving us a choice. We have to fight. His words spilled like water from a broken dam. I know what you're after. This isn't just about the control room, it's about the truth. We never signed up for this. Another crash resonated outside, and Eliza felt her pulse skyrocket. Something primal kicked in fear, and a fierce determination mingled in her gut. What truth? She demanded, her voice rising above the din of chaos. What are you talking about? The man hesitated, torn between the urgency of their situation and the risk of revealing too much. But his eyes darted left and right, and with a sudden tightness, he hissed, They're experimenting. You're in the middle of something much larger. We need to move before he could finish. Quiet footsteps crept toward the door. Fear washed over Eliza like ice water, and she felt her breath hitch. They had to make a choice. Stay and learn what was hidden within this place, or risk everything for the unknown lurking in the chaos outside. In that moment of uncertainty, the door creaked open, revealing three figures clothed in black, the enveloping shadows of soldiers ready to strike. Now, the woman shouted, leaping toward the side window, her instincts kicking into gear, dragging Eliza with her. With a surge of adrenaline coursing through her, Eliza realized she might be stepping into an abyss deeper than she imagined. What awaited them on the other side? Would they find safety? Or was this just the beginning of an ordeal that would lead to their worst fears? As they leapt from the window into the unknown, a single thought echoed in Eliza's mind. There was no turning back now. Would they find the truth and escape the darkness? Or would it consume them both in one final act of betrayal? They landed hard, knees buckling against the rough ground. Eliza gasped, her palms scraping against the unforgiving asphalt as she rolled to her side, adrenaline spiking through her veins. The chilling wind cut across their skin, but they had no time to recover. Get up, the woman snapped, urgency flaring in her voice. Eliza scrambled to her feet, her heart pounding like a war drum. Behind them, glass shattered as the soldiers stormed through the window they just escaped. Move, the man barked, his eyes wide with panic as he gestured down the dimly lit alleyway that sprawled out before them. Darkness stretched like a maw, eager to swallow them whole. They sprinted down the alley, the sounds of chaos fading only slightly. Each step felt like a risk, a challenge against the very fate that had driven them to leap into this nightmare. The woman glanced sideways, fear casting shadows in her eyes. "We need to find cover, then a way out of here." "Where exactly?" Eliza panted, desperation edging her voice. "What do we do?" "I know a place," the man interjected, breathless yet determined. "There's an old maintenance room nearby. We can hide until things calm down." Eliza wanted to question him, to demand more answers, but time was not on their side. A loud crash echoed from the building they had just escaped, and white-hot fear fueled her legs to run faster. They rounded a corner, the glowing neon signs of the city flickering overhead like distant stars in an otherwise black sky. A sudden scream pierced the night, making her freeze momentarily. They couldn't save everyone, but she couldn't shake the nagging guilt weighing heavy in her chest. "Keep moving." The woman's voice broke through her thoughts, snapping Eliza back to the urgency of the moment. They rushed into a narrow doorway, skidding into the darkness of the maintenance room, hearts racing fiercely. Inside, the air was stale and thick with dust. The room was cluttered with tools and old machinery, remnants of what had likely been a busy system of operations long since ignored. The only light came from a flickering bulb dangling precariously from the ceiling. "What now?" Eliza asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We hide and listen," the man said, his eyes darting to the door, still breathing heavy. "If they find us, we're done for. That's their objective." The woman leaned against the wall, her expression a mask of concentration. "We need to know more about what they're doing. Why are they hunting us?" Again, Eliza felt the swell of anxiety. "But we don't even know what they are. If we stay here too long, we could end up trapped." "Silence," the man warned, holding up a hand. His eyes were fixed on the door, jaws tight with tension. "Listen." Footsteps approached, muffled but unmistakable, the ominous sound of boots pounding against concrete. "They have to be around here somewhere. Split up and search the vicinity." One voice barked. Eliza's stomach dropped. She felt the weight of doom pressing against her chest. Forcing herself to breathe, she leaned closer to the woman. "What are we going to do?" But before the woman could respond, the door burst open, revealing the shadowed figures of searchers, armed and ready. The three held their breath, hope fluttering in their chests as if it might burst free. "Now," the woman hissed, shoving a rusted metal slab at Eliza. "We have to make a choice." Eliza's heart raced as raw panic flooded her. They could either fight or flee. But what truth awaited? As the soldiers scanned the cramped space, a loud crash echoed from another corner. "Over there," one shouted, narrowing their search to their hiding place. This would not end without consequences. With nowhere to run, Eliza felt a sudden surge of defiance overcoming her fear. They had to stand and fight. But at what cost? Time stretched painfully as they braced for the confrontation, knowing that the answers lay just beyond the blades of fate that churned ominously ahead. Would they emerge victorious, or would this be the end of their desperate quest for truth? The choice loomed like a dark cloud. Would they stand united against the storm, or become mere whispers lost in the shadows? Eliza gripped the rusted metal slab tightly, her knuckles turning white as she locked eyes with the woman. The tension in the tiny maintenance room felt alive, every sound amplified, each breath a desperate gasp for a chance at survival. "Whatever happens next, we face it together," the woman urged, her eyes steady, filled with a fierce determination that ignited a spark within Eliza. "Okay," Eliza whispered, her heart still pounding, the fear transforming slowly into a flame of resolve. They had come too far to turn back. Whatever darkness awaited them outside, they would confront it head-on. The soldiers were closing in, surveying every nook of the room. Eliza could feel her skin prickling. This was it. No more hiding, no more running. With a swift nod from the woman, Eliza steeled herself, preparing for the confrontation. "On three," the woman exclaimed, her voice low but commanding. "1, 2, 3. They burst from their hiding spot, metal slab raised above Eliza's head, adrenaline coursing like fire through her veins. The soldiers were startled, eyes wide with shock. Eliza struck first, swinging the slab like it was the only weapon they had. Sheer will and urgency combined into one forceful swing. It connected with a thick thud against the first man's shoulder, sending him crashing backward. "Get her!" one soldier barked, but too late. Eliza was already on the move. In that frantic whirl of chaos, the woman moved with precision, her body fluid like a danceress as she dodged blows and retaliated with expert strikes that Eliza could hardly believe. It was like they had rehearsed this moment, battling side by side, twin warriors against a swarm of shadows, but the numbers were not in their favor. As Eliza ducked another grasping hand, the realization hit her this was not just a fight for survival. It was a fight for the truth. What they had uncovered, the secrets locked behind closed doors, was more than just corporate greed. It was about lives at stake, lives that could be shattered with one signature on a piece of paper. Suddenly, a loud bang reverberated through the maintenance room. The door burst open wider, and more figures rushed in. Panic surged again, threatening to swallow them whole. Eliza's eyes darted around, searching for an escape, but there was none apparent. They were cornered. Then the woman spotted something, an old fire escape ladder bolted to the wall. "The window," she shouted, directing Eliza's gaze. "Go. I'll cover you." Eliza didn't hesitate. She rushed to the window, her hands fumbling as she struggled to pull it open. "Hold on. I'll keep them busy," the woman shouted, her voice fierce, cutting through the noise of the chaos around them. Eliza felt her chest tighten, watching her friend hold her ground, but there was no time to question. With one final tug, the window creaked open, just enough for Eliza to slip through. She clambered up the rusted ladder, her fingers trembling against the cold metal rungs. "Come on," the woman urged, still battling the surging men with tenacity. "I'm right behind you." Marks of fear and determination etched on both their faces. Eliza reached the rooftop, gasping for breath as she turned to help her friend up. "Hurry." The sound of the scuffle continued below, the echoes climbing through the open window. And then, just as she went to reach down, a sudden, piercing scream cut through the air, freezing her in place. Eliza's heart dropped as she scanned the chaos below. One of the soldiers had thrown the woman to the ground, her resolute stance crumbling under the weight of the fight. This was no longer just about escape. It was now about saving someone who had stood by her side when fear could have claimed her. "Go," the woman shouted, her voice strained but filled with conviction. "Don't look back." Time froze as Eliza felt herself torn between fleeing to safety and the urge to rush back into the fray, to help the woman who had become her ally, her friend. Before she could think, she jumped down from the ladder, determination coursing through her as she barreled back through the window, adrenaline sharpening her focus. This was not the end. More voices flooded her ears as she lunged back into the room, where chaos still reigned. "Let her go?" Eliza screamed, feeling the empowerment of her fear morph into a battle cry. The men turned, surprise flashing across their faces as she surged toward her friend. Using everything she had, Eliza swung the metal slab, connecting with one man, knocking him aside. They were outnumbered, but Eliza couldn't falter now. "Get out of here," the woman commanded, pushing Eliza toward the fire escape again, their eyes locking in a moment of fierce solidarity. Eliza fought with brimming courage as she made it to her friend, their strength combining into one fluid motion of resistance against the encroaching shadows. Together, they dispatched the nearest threats as they made their way through the suffocating room, determination propelling each strike forward. "Almost there," the woman cried, resilience blazing in her eyes, even as the ground beneath them shook with their struggle. Every punch thrown, every step taken, was an act of defiance. Something deeper than fear stirred within them, the fight for truth. Finally, they reached the ladder again, exhaustion pulling at their limbs but adrenaline still igniting their spirits as they clambered up and onto the roof, desperately searching for a way off. Peering over the side, Eliza saw an alley that stretched out between the building's dark but promising freedom. "There," she pointed, heart racing. "We jump." The wind whipped around them, surreal and terrifying, but the choice was made. The leap was necessary. As they stood shoulder to shoulder, Eliza and the woman exchanged one more glance, neither backing down from what lay ahead. Together on three, Eliza breathed, finding strength in the gaze that mirrored her determination. 1, 2, 3. They leaped into the unknown, the shadows clutching at their heels. Landing hard against the pavement below, Eliza rolled but quickly shot back to her feet, adrenaline surging as they sprinted into the darkness of the alley, hearts alight with fiery resilience. With the weight of their discoveries pushing them forward, they surged into the night, leaving behind the chaos, determined to uncover the truth that lurked beyond the silence. As they burst onto a quiet street, breaths heavy but hopes soaring, Eliza realized. They were more than mere survivors now. They were warriors, fighting against the dark, united in a cause that reached far beyond themselves. Together, they would unearth the secrets hidden in the shadows and in doing so, ignite a light that could not be extinguished. But victory was still distant, and the truth still beckoned. Yet this battle was far from over, and as the dawn approached, so too did the promise of their reckoning. And so they ran toward the horizon, determined to stand firm against whatever darkness awaited them. Together, they would reveal the truths hidden in the light of a new day. Now, more than ever, it was time to face the reality that lay ahead. The war was just beginning, and together, they wouldn't let it break them. So subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. We've got more coming that you need to see. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep us thriving. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Let us hear your thoughts. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.